I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL, thank you for joining me. Top 10 blue fragrances from my collection, but there's a twist. All the bottles actually have to be blue. Because, why not? So I thought I'd give myself a bit of an extra challenge, and rather than just talking about blue fragrances, I got them out, I lined them all up, and I thought, don't all those blue bottles look really pretty lined up together? So I decided I would make this video about my top 10 fragrances that are contained in blue bottles. So not all of them are the traditional blue type fragrance, most of them are, but there's a couple that definitely are not. And when we talk about this blue fragrance, we often mean fragrances like Bleu de Chanel, fragrances that are marine, aquatics, generally fresh fragrances, maybe a little bit shower gelish. So most of them in this video are that type of blue fresh fragrance, but not all of them. One thing that you can be guaranteed of though is that every single one of these fragrances comes highly recommended from me. The first fragrance is actually a fresh type fragrance. It even comes in a blue bottle and it's actually part of Acqua de Parma's Bleu Mediterraneo line, so what better place to start? The fragrance coming in at number 10 is Fico di Amalfi. There's a bit of citrus in this one, but it's mainly got this figgy, peachy thing going on, which is absolutely beautiful. So it's got more of a fruity, smooth, rounded, sweet type of freshness rather than a zesty, zingy, citrusy type of freshness. Really beautiful DNA. I don't get great performance of this. I'll get maybe an hour or so of projection, and then it's a delicate skin scent, I'd say, for 4 or 5 hours. So the best time for me personally to wear this is on a hot day, because I think the heat would maximize the performance of this one. So I could just imagine that I'm somewhere in the Mediterranean, you're going out for a nice lunch, you know, you've got your linen shorts on, your cotton shirt that you bought especially for holiday, so you could look like you fitted in with the locals. Just me? Okay, well, if I was dressed like that, I think Fico di Amalfi would be just perfecto. Okay, so the next one is totally opposite end of the spectrum. This is definitely not a freshie. You wouldn't want to wear this one in the high heat. You might get away with it on a summer's evening, maybe, but it is in a blue bottle. From Amouage, it's the brand new Interlude Black Iris Man. Black Iris is a flanker of Interlude Man, and this one isn't as strong or as potent as that fragrance. It's definitely not as beastly. In fact, Interlude Man is often referred to as the blue beast. This one is smoother and more rounded, a little bit more mass appealing, I would say. With this one, I love that you get this smooth orris butter combined with the spices and resins and incense. It really is an intoxicating blend. Performance on this is fantastic. It's not as beastly as Interlude Man, but it still does have very, very good performance. If you want to make a bold statement without being too bold, then Black Iris is your man, your Interlude Man. Moving on from that heavier scent back to a fresh scent, or should I say a Fraiche scent. This is one of the most popular, one of the most affordable freshies or Fraiches on the market today. From Versace, it's Manno Fresh. I never know whether to say Fraiche or fresh for this one. I've heard people pronounce it both ways. It kind of looks like Fraiche. Not sure if that's the right way to say it, but I kind of like it because it's like saying fresh, but it sounds a little bit more exotic. So we're going to go with Fraiche. This is a fruity, zesty, invigorating fragrance. Bit of amber, bit of woods to stabilize things a little bit. Nothing terribly groundbreaking or complex going on here, but it is one of the best refreshing, clean smelling summer fragrances. If you've got this, wear the hell out of it in summer, because I think that is absolutely the best time to wear this one. It works best for me in the heat. You can pick this up for under £40 for 100ml. At that price, superb value.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
Got another little hype beast for you now. I find this one even more refreshing than the Versace from Dolce & Gabbana. This is Light Blue Eau Intense. I get refreshing citruses, I get woods, but for me, what really sets this apart is the juniper note in here. It has this lovely aromatic quality which just, I think, shines in this composition. I feel it's got a bit more structure than Manno Fresh. I feel like there's more going on, it's more layered, it's more nuanced, it's a little thicker as well, and as the name would suggest, I think it's more intense. So I do prefer it to Manno Fresh. Also find that performance of this one is better. I think this is a fragrance I can get away with not only wearing in the high heat, but at other times of the year, just because it does seem a little thicker. I think it can perform in slightly cooler weather, maybe not in winter, but maybe, you know, on some cooler autumn days or spring days. I think you could absolutely wear this. You could wear it to the office, you know, that kind of thing. So pretty versatile scent. It's a little punchier than Manno Fresh. It's got a little bit more attitude. Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense is a very, very solid summer scent. Next is the second one from Acqua de Palma's Bleu Mediterraneo line. I find this one has a bit more going on than Fico di Amalfi, which is why it's higher up the list. It maybe just feels a little bit more layered. I certainly find it a little bit more interesting. This one is Mirto de Panarea. I get really nice aromatic and herbal accords from this one. There's some myrtle and basil which give it a little bit of a culinary feel, which I love because it seems to give the fragrance some good structure, so it's not just a light and fleeting fresh type fragrance. I feel like it's got some punchiness to it. And there's also some juniper in here as well. I really enjoy juniper. I seem to enjoy most fragrances that contain the note of juniper. I just feel like it maybe gives a fragrance some lift and this kind of nice, clean, airy quality. I really enjoy wearing this one when I'm in Portugal in the hot sun. I smell it and it reminds me of a fresh sea breeze. The citruses combine with the aromatic accords to really give this one a lot of class and refinement. Kicking off the top 5 is a Tom Ford private blend fragrance. It is not the blue bottled Neroli Portofino. I do really enjoy that fragrance, but I tend to reach for this one more than that. It is Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua. In this one, you've got citrus, florals and mint, and I think the reason I reach for this more than Neroli Portofino is it seems to have a bit more of a satisfying, refreshing pop. It's got a really beautiful opening pop with the mandarin. The mandarin, by the way, as you might guess from the name of the fragrance, is the most prominent note throughout the life of the fragrance, but the whole composition just sparkles. And if you didn't know, the Acqua versions of the Tom Ford fragrances, they are a little weaker than the Eau de Parfum. I think these are Eau de Toilette, but I get great performance off this. I don't feel like it's inferior to the Neroli Portofino at all. If anything, it's maybe a little bit better, so I wouldn't worry too much about the concentration. You can pick these up. I just had a look before I started filming this video. All Beauty are selling this fragrance for £75, which is about half the price of your usual private blend fragrance. So if you're thinking of beginning a Tom Ford private blend collection, I think this one would be a great place to start. The next one is one of my favorite niche fragrances to wear in the summer. I adore this one. As you would expect from a fragrance at this price point, you get the quality, you get the refinement. From Atelier des Ors, it's Riviera Lazuli. With this, you get lemon, woods and incense, but the note I am all about in this is the fir balsam in the base. It just seems to thicken the fragrance up a little bit. It lends weight to it without it becoming too heavy at all. It still remains fresh, but because of the depth here, it's never fleeting. It just seems to fix down onto the skin really well. It has a complexity that I don't think a lot of fresh fragrances have, yet it never feels complicated. I get pretty decent performance of this one as well, and I would say this is probably the best blue bottle in this video. Next up is my favourite freshie from Roja Parfums. This is probably the most versatile fragrance on the list as well. Of course, in a blue bottle, we are talking about Elysium, and this is the Parfum cologne. Citrus, florals, woods, benzoin vanilla, adding depth and sweetness. This is a very classy composition. There's a lot of notes in here, but they're all perfectly blended. I get great projection, it's long lasting, it's compliment getting. I'd say that this is probably the most versatile fragrance from Roja Parfums. We're in signature scent territory here. I would also say that it's maybe the most mass appealing fragrance as well. So if you're thinking of going niche and you want to go blue, Elysium would be a very sound investment. My number 2 could easily have been my number 1 because this is a masterpiece. The only reason it's not number 1 is that the one that is at number 1 I reach for more often than I do this because it's just a more versatile fragrance. The one coming in at number 2 from Tower Perfumes is Bleu de Desert Marocain. Okay, so yes, blue bottle, but definitely not a freshie, although it does have some freshness to it. There's a little bit of petitgrain in here, but rather than it having this fresh sea breeze or this ozonic freshness that a lot of freshies have, this has got like a dry freshness to it, almost like the dry heat of a desert. So you've heard me rave about this, you've heard other people rave about this fragrance. It's absolutely superb, it's intoxicating, it's enchanting. If you're comparing this to a designer, it has more complexity, it has more body to it, and I'd say it's more artistic and creative, but still very wearable. I think you do need to try it first though, because if you're coming from designer fragrances to a very full-on scent like this, it might just take you a little bit of time to get used to it, but once you do, you will be in love with this fragrance, or at least I am anyway. Because I enjoy this so much, I don't want to get sick of it, I don't want to overwear it, and the bottles aren't that big, so I tend to save this more for special occasions. I would wear this in the summer, but I think it would have to be a slightly cooler summer's day or maybe a summer's evening. This just works fantastically in all the other seasons though, spring, autumn, winter, so it's fairly versatile. I love this so much that I don't want to overwear this fragrance. It's tempting to do it, but I don't want to get sick of the smell. I don't want to become too used to the smell. I can't imagine that I would wear this as an everyday signature type scent. It is the type of fragrance that deserves to be associated with special occasions. Same with Roja Parfums Enigma, currently my favourite fragrance. I love that scent and it is tempting to wear it all the time, especially now with the Parfum cologne being a little bit more versatile, but I don't want to get sick of that DNA. I want that DNA to always be special to me, and I kind of feel the same way about this one as well. This is just a superbly crafted fragrance that is one of my all-time favourites. Alright, so at number 1 is one of the most iconic and popular blue fragrances. It's even got blue in the name. From Chanel, it's Bleu EDP. We've got citrus, woods and incense. This is just a beautifully blended fragrance with the quality that we would expect from a designer house like Chanel. It's very satisfying to wear. It's got this clean, refined, gentlemanly appeal. I think it's a very mass appealing fragrance. You'll often hear people describe this as shower gelish, but I don't think that's a negative. I wouldn't say that this is generic in a boring or safe way. I think it's perhaps generic in a very well crafted, mass appealing way. When I bought this and I first smelled it, I have to be honest and say I liked it, but I was a little bit underwhelmed from all the hype I'd heard about this. I was expecting to be blown away, but that often happens when things get hyped up so much. It was the same with Giorgio Armani Acqua di Gio Profumo. That has grown on me, but at first I wasn't wowed, but I'm really enjoying that now. I love this fragrance. I think it's so versatile. I think you can wear this whenever, wherever, and you can always feel great. You'll always feel emboldened and confident. I bought this when I was going on a trip. I was away for around a month. I was traveling around various countries a couple of years ago. I was in Portugal, I was in Spain, I was in France, and I wore this throughout the trip, and all the memories of that trip are now intertwined with this fragrance. In fact, that's a great idea. You know, if you're going through an airport, if you're going away, buy a fragrance, wear it on that trip, and you'll create some incredible scent memories. So that's partly why I enjoy this fragrance so much, because I do have some beautiful memories all intertwined with this scent. In terms of how creative it is and how artistic it is, it's not the best on this list, but for me, for lots of reasons, it is my number one. I thoroughly enjoy this, and of course, it's in a blue bottle, and it says Bleu on it. In French, but it says Bleu. There we go, 10 Bleu bottles for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you didn't mind that it wasn't just fresh Bleu fragrances. I know most of them were, but I thought I'd throw a couple of little curveballs in there and make it about my beautiful, pretty blue bottles that I just got mesmerized by when I lined them up. So I just had to make the video about blue bottles rather than just specifically about blue fragrances. What I would love to hear from you is, what are your favorite fragrances that come in blue bottles? They can be fresh fragrances. Let me know what your favorite blue fresh fragrances are. That would be great. But just any fragrance that comes in a blue bottle. This is just a video all about blue, just because it is. Who doesn't like blue? It's my favorite color, actually. Maybe that's why I love blue bottles so much. Yeah, I just think blue bottles look great. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of me geeking out about blue. Let me know what yours are. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM, keep smelling good, and I'll see you in the next video.